I still have both my lungs. Still not quite 100%, but I think well enough to read a few chapters tonight. So, we'll see. So, obviously I did not stream last night because I figured, well, if I'm going to save my voice for tonight, probably shouldn't stream yesterday. So, yeah, I'm slowly getting better. So, I asked my mom about others who have been sick with what we've had, how long the cough lingered, that, she was told, and she said 2 weeks. 2 friggin' weeks. So yeah, it's gonna probably be just a little bit before I completely get my voice back. So, there it is. So otherwise, I feel fine. So we'll see. But anyway, just like so, we're going 2 weeks. Yeah, but welcome everyone. To another reading stream. I'll be reading chapters 12 through 14 today. So basically, we've been introduced to a new enemy, the Covenant, and the Spartans will be going through the final phase of their training. So basically, they are at a point where they now pretty much have to officially begin to prove their mettle. So, without further ado, let's just dive right into this. The view screen in the bunk room of the UNSC frigate Commonwealth clicked on as the ship entered normal space. Ice particles showered the external camera and gave the distant yellow sun, Chi Seti, a ghostly ring. John watched and continued to ponder the word MJOLNIR as they sped in system. He had looked it up in the education database. MJOLNIR was the hammer used by the Norse god of thunder. Project MJOLNIR had to be some kind of weapon. At least he hoped it was. They needed something to fight the Covenant. Well, it's a weapon of sorts. If it was a weapon, though, why was it here at the Damascus testing facility on the very edge of UNSC-controlled space? He had only even heard of the system 24 hours ago. He turned and surveyed the squad. Although this bunk room had 100 beds, the Spartans still clustered together, playing cards, polishing boots, reading, exercising. Sam sparred with Kelly, although she had to slow herself down considerably to give him a chance. John was reminded that he didn't like being on starships. The lack of control was disturbing. If he wasn't stuck in the, quote, the freezer, the starship's cramped, unpleasant cryo chamber, he was left waiting and wondering what their next mission would be. During the last 3 weeks, the Spartans had handled a variety of minor missions for Dr. Halsey. Tying up loose ends, she had called it. Putting down rebel factions on Jericho 7, removing a black market bazaar near the Roosevelt military base. Each mission had brought them closer to the... I think it's pronounced Chi, or Chi Seti. Because I think C-H-I in Greek is key. Anyway, Seti system. John had made sure every member of his squad had participated in these missions. They had performed flawlessly. There had been no losses. Chief Mendez would have been proud of them. Spartan 117, Dr. Halsey's voice blared over the loudspeaker. Report to the bridge immediately. John snapped to attention and keyed the intercom. Yes, ma'am. He turned to Sam. Get everyone ready in case we're needed. On the double. Affirmative, Sam said. You heard the petty officer. Dog those cards. Get into uniform, soldier. John double-timed it to the elevator and punched the code for the bridge. The doors parted and he stepped onto the bridge. Every wall had a screen. Some showed stars and the distant red smear of a nebula. Other screens displayed the fusion reactor status and spectrums of microwave broadcasts in the system. A brass railing ringed the center of the bridge, and within sat 4 junior lieutenants at their stations. Navigation, weapons, communications, and ship operations. Welcome, everyone. John halted and saluted Captain Wallace, then nodded to Dr. Halsey. Captain Wallace stood with his right arm crooked behind his back. His left arm was missing from the elbow down. John remained saluting until the captain returned the gesture. Over here, please, Dr. Halsey said. I want you to see this. John walked across the rubberized deck and gave his full attention to the screen Dr. Halsey and Captain Wallace were scrutinizing. It displayed deconvoluted radar signals. It looked like tangled yarn to John. There, Dr. Halsey pointed to a blip on the screen. It's there again. Captain Wallace stroked his dark beard, thinking, then said, that puts our ghost at 80 million kilometers. Even if it were a ship, it would take a full hour to get within weapons range, and besides, he waved at the screen, it's gone again. Sorry. May I suggest that we go to battle stations, Captain? Dr. Halsey told him. I don't see the point, he said condescendingly. The captain was clearly less than pleased about having a civilian on his bridge. We haven't let this be widely known, she said, but when the aliens were first detected at Harvest, they appeared at extreme range. And then they were suddenly much closer. An intersystem jump, John asked. Dr. Halsey smiled at him. Correctly surmised, Spartan. That's not possible, Captain Wallace remarked. Slipstream space can't be navigated that accurately. You mean we cannot navigate that kind of accuracy, she said. The captain clenched and unclenched his jaw. He clicked the intercom. General quarters, all hands to battle stations. Seal bulkheads. I repeat, all hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. Reactors to 90%. Come about to course 125. The bridge lights darkened to a red hue. The deck rumbled beneath John's boots and the entire ship tilted as it changed heading. Pressure doors slammed shut and sealed John on the bridge. The Commonwealth stabilized on her new heading, and Dr. Halsey crossed her arms. She leaned over and whispered to John, we'll be using the Commonwealth's dropship to go to the testing facility on Key Ceti 4. We have to get to Project MJOLNIR. She turned back and watched the radar screen. Before they do. So get the others ready. Yes, ma'am, John keyed the intercom. Sam, muster the squad in Bay Alpha. I want that Pelican loaded and ready for drop in 15 minutes. We'll have it done in 10, Sam replied. Faster if those Longsword Interceptor pilots get out of our way. John would have given anything to be below decks with the others. He felt as if he were being left behind. Radar screens flashed with blobs of eerie green light, almost as if the space around the Commonwealth were boiling. The collision alarm sounded. Brace for impact, Captain Wallace said. He laced his arm around the brass railing. John grabbed an emergency handhold on the wall. Something appeared 3,000 kilometers off the Commonwealth's prow. It was a sleek oval with a single seam running along its lateral edge from stem to stern. Tiny lights winked on and off along its hull. A faint purple-tinged glow emitted from the tail. The ship was only a third the size of the Commonwealth. A Covenant ship, Dr. Halsey said, and she involuntarily backed away from the view screens. Captain Wallace scowled. Comm officer, send a signal to Key Ceti. See if they can send us some reinforcements. Aye, sir. Blue flashes flickered along the hull of the alien ship, so bright they even filtered through the external camera. They still made John's eyes water. The outer hull of the Commonwealth sizzled and popped, 3 screens filled with static. Sorry. Pulse lasers, the lieutenant at the op station screamed. Communication destroyed. Armor in sections 3 and 4 at 25%. Hull breach in section 3. Sealing now. The lieutenant swiveled in his seat. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Ship AI, core memory overloaded, he said. With the AI offline, the ship could still fire weapons and navigate through slipstream space. But John knew it would take more time to make jump calculations. Come to heading 030, declination 180, Captain Wallace ordered. Arm Archer missile pods, A through F, and give me a firing solution. Aye aye, the navigation weapons officer said. A through F pods armed. They furiously tapped away on their keypads. Seconds ticked by. Firing solution ready, sir. Fire. Pods A through F firing. The Commonwealth had 26 pods, each loaded with 30 Archer high-explosive missiles. On screen, pods A through F opened and launched, 180 plumes of rocket exhaust that traced a path from the Commonwealth to the alien ship. The enemy changed course, rotated so that the top of the ship faced the incoming missiles. It then moved straight up at an alarming speed. Sorry. The Archer missiles altered their trajectory to track the ship, but half their number streaked past the target's clean misses. The others impacted. Fire covered the skin of the alien ship. Good work, Lieutenant, Captain Wallace said, and he clapped the young officer on the shoulder. Dr. Halsey frowned and stared at the screen. No, she whispered, wait. The fire flared, then dimmed. The skin of the alien ship rippled like heat wavering off a hot road in the summer. It fluttered with a metallic silver sheen, then brilliant white, and the fire faded, revealing the ship beneath. It was completely undamaged. Energy shields, Dr. Halsey muttered. She tapped her lower lip, thinking. Even ships this small have energy shielding. Lieutenant, the captain barked at the nav officer. Cut main engines and fire maneuvering thrusters. Rotate in tracks so we're pointing at that thing. Aye, aye, sir. The distant rumbling of the Commonwealth's main engines dimmed and stopped, and she turned about. Her inertia kept the ship speeding toward the testing facility, now flying backward. What are you doing, Captain? Dr. Halsey asked. Arm the Mac, Captain Wallace told the weapons officer. A heavy round. John understood. Turning your back to an enemy only gave them an advantage. The Mac, magnetic accelerator cannon, was the Commonwealth's main weapon. It fired a super-dense ferric tungsten shell. The tremendous mass and velocity of the projectile obliterated most ships on impact. Unlike the Archer missiles, a Mac round was an unguided projectile. The firing solution had to be perfect in order to hit the target. Not an easy thing to do when both ships were moving rapidly. Mac capacitors charging, the weapons officer announced. The Covenant ship turned to its side toward the Commonwealth. Agreed, Freddy. Yes, the captain murmured. Give me a bigger target. Pinpoints of blue light glowed and then flared along the alien hull. The tactical view screens on the nose of the Commonwealth went dead. John heard sizzling overhead, then the muffled thumps of explosive decompressions. More pulse laser hits, the ops officer reported. Armor in sections 3 through 7 down to 4 centimeters. Navigation dish destroyed. Hull breaches on decks 2, 5, and 9. We have a leak in the port fuel tanks. The lieutenant's hand shakily danced over the controls. Pumping fuel to starboard reverse tanks. Sealing sections. John shifted on his seat. He had to move. Act. Standing here, unable to get to his squad, not doing anything, was counter to every fiber of his being. Mac, at 100%, the weapons officer shouted, ready to fire. Fire, Captain Wallace ordered. The lights on the bridge dimmed and the Commonwealth shuddered. The Mac bolt launched through the space, a red-hot metal slug moving at 30,000 meters per second. This Covenant ship's engines flared to life and the ship veered away. Too late. The heavy round closed and slammed into the target's prow. The Covenant ship reeled backward through space. Its energy shields shimmered and glowed lightning bright, and flickered, dimmed, and went out. The bridge crew let out a victory cheer. Except Dr. Halsey. John watched the view screen as she adjusted the camera controls and zoomed in on the Covenant ship. The vessel's erratic spinning slowed and it came to a stop. The ship's nose was crumpled and atmosphere vented into vacuum. Tiny fires flickered inside. The ship slowly came about and started back toward them, gaining speed. It should have been destroyed, she whispered. Tiny red blobs appeared on the hull of the Covenant ship. They glowed and intensified and drifted together, collecting along the lateral line of the craft. Captain Wallace said, make ready another heavy round. Aye, aye, what the weapons officer said. Charge at 30%. Firing solution online, sir. No, Dr. Halsey said. Evasive maneuvers, Captain, now. I won't have my command second-guessed, ma'am, the captain turned to face her. And with respect, Doctor, second-guessed by someone with no combat experience. He stiffened and placed his hand behind his back. I cannot have you removed from the bridge because the bulkheads are sealed. But another outburst like that, Doctor, and I will have you gagged. John shot a quick glance at Dr. Halsey. Her face flushed. He couldn't tell from shame or rage. Mac at 50% charge. The red light continued to collect along the lateral line of the Covenant ship until it was a solid band. It brightened. 80% charge. They're turning, sir, the nav officer announced. She's coming to starboard. 95% charge. 100, the weapons officer announced. Send them to Hades, Lieutenant. Fire. The lights dimmed again. The Commonwealth shuddered and a bolt of thunder and fire tore through the blackness. The Covenant ship stood its ground. The blood-red light that had pooled on its lateral line burst forth, streaked toward the Commonwealth, passing the Mac round a mere kilometer away. Mere kilometer away. The red light glowed and pulsed almost as if it were liquid. Its edges roiled and fluttered. It elongated into a teardrop of ruby light 5 meters long. Evasive maneuvers, Captain Wallace cried. Emergency thrusters to ports. The Commonwealth slowly moved out of the trajectory path of the Covenant's energy weapon. The Mac round struck the Covenant vessel amidships. Its shield shimmered and bubbled, then disappeared. The Mac round punched through the craft and sent it spinning out of control. The inbound ball of light moved too. It started tracking the Commonwealth. Engines full power astern, the captain ordered. The Commonwealth rumbled and slowed. The light should have sped past them. Instead, it sharply arced and struck her port amidships. The air filled with the popping and sizzling. The Commonwealth listed to starboard, then rolled completely over and continued to tumble. Stabilize, the captain cried. Starboard thrusters. Fire reported in sections 1 through 20. The ops officer said, panic creeping into his voice. Decks 2 through 7 in section 1 have melted, sir. They're gone. It grew noticeably hotter on the bridge. Sweat beaded on John's back and trickled down his spine. He had never felt so helpless. Were his teammates below decks alive or dead? All port armor destroyed. Decks 2 through 5 in sections 3, 4, and 5 are now out of contact, sir. It's burning through us. Captain Wallace stood without saying a word. He stared at their one remaining view screen. Dr. Halsey stepped forward. Respectfully, Captain, I suggest that you alert the crew to get on respirator packs. Give them 30 seconds and vent the atmosphere on all decks, except the bridge. The comm officer looked at the captain. Do it, the captain said. Sound the alert. Deck 13 destroyed, the ops officer announced. Fire is getting closer to the reactor. Hull structure is starting to buckle. Vent atmosphere now, Captain Wallace ordered. Aye, aye, the ops officer replied. There was a sound of thumping through the hull, then nothing. Fire is dying out, the ops officer said. Hull temperature cooling, stabilizing. What the hell did they hit us with? Captain Wallace demanded. Plasma, Dr. Halsey replied. But not any plasma we know. It can actually guide its trajectory through space without any detectable mechanism. Amazing. And welcome everyone. Captain, navigator said, alien ship is pursuing. The Covenant vessel, a red-rimmed hole punched through its center, turned and started toward the Commonwealth. How? Captain Wallace said unbelievingly. He quickly regained his wits. Ready another Mac heavy round. The weapons officer slowly said, Mac system destroyed, Captain. We're sitting ducks then, the captain murmured. Dr. Halsey leaned against the brass railing. Not quite. The Commonwealth carries 3 nuclear missiles, correct, Captain? Detonation this close would destroy us as well. She frowned and cupped her head to her chin, thinking. Excuse me, Sir John, said. The aliens' tactics thus far have been unnecessarily vicious, like those of an animal. They didn't have to take that second Mac round while they fired at us, but they wanted to position themselves to fire. In my opinion, sir, they would stop and engage anything that challenged them. The captain looked at Dr. Halsey. She shrugged and then nodded. The longsword interceptors? Captain Wallace turned his back to them and covered his face with one hand. He sighed, nodded, and clicked on the intercom. Longsword Squadron Delta, this is the captain. Get your ships into the black, boys, and engage the enemy ship. I need you to buy us some time. Roger that, sir. We're ready to launch. On our way. Turn us around, the captain told the nav officer. Give me best speed on a vector toward Key Seti 4 orbit. Coolant leaks in the reactor, sir, the ops officer said. We can push the engines to 30%, no more. Give me 50%, he said. He turned to the weapons officer. Arm one of the Shiva warheads. Set proximity fuse to 100 meters. Yes, sir. The Commonwealth spun about. John felt the change in his stomach, and he tightened his grip on the railing. The spinning slowed, stopped, and the ship accelerated. Reactor redlining, the ops officer reported. Meltdown in 25 seconds. Over the speakers, there was a crackle, a hiss of static. Then, longsword interceptors engaging the enemy, sir. On the remaining aft camera, there were flickers of light, the cold blue strobes of Covenant Energy's weapons, and the red-orange fireballs of the longsword's missiles. Launch the missile, the captain said. Meltdown in 10 seconds. Missile away. A plume of exhaust divided the darkness of space. 5 seconds to meltdown, the ops officer said. 4, 3, 2. Shunt drive plasma to space, the captain ordered. Cut power to all systems. The Covenant ship was silhouetted for a split second by pure white. Then the view screen snapped off. The bridge lights went dead. John could see everything, though. The bridge officers, Dr. Halsey as he clutched onto the railing, and Captain Wallace as he stood and saluted the pilots he had just sent to die. The hull of the Commonwealth rumbled and pinged as the shock wave enveloped them. It grew louder, a subsonic roar that shook John to his bones. The noise seemed to go on forever in the darkness. It faded, and it was completely silent. Power us back up, the captain said, slowly. Give me 10% from the reactors if we can manage. The bridge lights came on, dimly, but they worked. Report, the captain ordered. All sensors offline, the ops officer said, resetting backup computer. Hang on. Scanning now. Lots of debris. It's hot back there. All longsword interceptors vaporized. He looked up, the color drained from his face. Covenant ship? Intact, sir. No, the captain said and made a fist. It's moving off, though, the op officer said with a visible sigh of relief, very slowly. What does it take to destroy one of those things? The captain whispered. We don't know if our weapons can destroy them, Dr. Halsey said, but at least we know we can slow them down. The captain stood straighter. Best speed to the Damascus... my voice. Best speed to the Damascus testing facility. We will execute a flyby orbit, then proceed to a point 20 million kilometers distant to make repairs. Captain, Dr. Halsey said, a flyby? I have orders to get you to the facility and retrieve whatever Section 3 has stowed there, ma'am. As we fly by, a dropship will take you and your, he glanced at John, crew planetside. If the Covenant ship returns, we will be the bait to lure them away. I understand, Captain. We will rendezvous in orbit no later than 1900 hours. Dr. Halsey turned to John. We need to hurry. We don't have much time, and there is a great deal I need to show the Spartans. Chapter's nearly done. Yes, ma'am, John said. He took a long look at the bridge and hoped he never had to return. Thus ends chapter 12. Let me take a drink of water. Begin chapter 13. Anyway, chapter 13. Yeah, drive-by in space. Okay. Here we go. How far down was the testing facility? John and the other Spartans had been confined to a freight elevator for 15 minutes, and the entire time it had been rapidly descending into the depths of Key 74. The last place John wanted to be was in another confined space. The doors finally slid open, and they emerged in what appeared to be a well-lit hangar. The far end had an obstacle course set up with walls, trenches, dummy targets, and barbed wire. Yep. I drink a lot of water. 3 technicians and at least a dozen AI figures are busy in the center of the room. John had seen AIs before, one at a time. Deja had once told the Spartans that there were technical reasons why AIs couldn't be in the same place at the same time, but here were many ghostly figures. A mermaid, a samurai warrior, and one made entirely of bright light with comets trailing in her wake. Dr. Halsey cleared her throat. The technicians turned. The AIs vanished. John had been so focused on the holograms that he hadn't noticed the 40 plexiglass mannequins set up in rows. On each was a suit of armor. The armor reminded John of the exoskeletons he had seen during training, but much less bulky, more compact. He stepped closer to one and saw that the suit actually had many layers. The outer layer reflected the overhead lights with a faint green-gold iridescence. It covered the groin, outer thighs, knees, shins, chest, shoulders, and forearms. There was a helmet and an integrated power pack, much smaller than standard marine battery sacks. Underneath were intermeshed layers of matte black metal. Project MJOLNIR, Dr. Halsey said. She snapped her fingers and an exploded holographic schematic of the armor appeared next to her. The armor's shell is a multi-layer alloy of remarkable strength. We recently added a refractive coating to disperse incoming energy weapon attacks to counter our new enemies. She pointed outside the schematic. Each battle suit also has a gel-filled layer to regulate temperature. This layer can reactively change in density. Against the skin of the operator, there is a moisture-absorbing cloth suit, and biomonitors that constantly adjust the suit's temperature and fit. There's also an onboard computer that interfaces with your standard-issue neural implant. She gestured and the schematic collapsed so that it only displayed the outer layers. As the image changed, John glimpsed vein-like microcapillaries, a dense sandwich of optical crystal, a circulating pump, Even one looked like a miniature fusion cell in the backpack. Most importantly, Dr. Halsey said, the armor's inner structure is composed of a new reactive metal liquid crystal. It's amorphous, yet practically scales and amplifies force. In simplified terms, the armor doubles of the wearer's strength and enhances the reaction speed of a normal human by a factor of 5. She waved her hand through the hologram. There's one problem, however. The system is so reactive that our previous tests with unaugmented volunteers ended in, search for the right word, failure. She nodded to one of the technicians. A flat video appeared in the air. It showed a Marine officer, a lieutenant, being fitted with MJOLNIR armor. Power is on, someone said from off-screen. Move your right arm, please. The soldier's arm blurred forward with incredible speed. The Marine's stoic expression collapsed into shock, surprise, and pain as his arm shattered. He convulsed, shuddered, and screamed. As he jerked in pain, John could hear the sounds of bones breaking. The man's own agony-induced spasms were killing him. Dr. Halsey waved the video away. Normal humans don't have the reaction time or strength required to drive the system, she explained. You do. Your enhanced musculature and the metal and ceramic layers that have been bonded to your skeleton should be enough to allow you to harness the armor's power. There has been insufficient computer modeling, however. There will be some risk. You'll have to move very slowly and deliberately until you get a feel for the armor and how it works. It cannot be powered down, nor can the response be scaled back. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am, the Spartans answered. Questions? John raised his hand. When do we get to try them, Doctor? Right now, she said. Volunteers? Every Spartan raised a hand. Dr. Halsey allowed herself a tiny smile. She surveyed them and finally turned to John. You've always been lucky, John, she said. Let's go. He stepped forward. The technicians fitted him as the others watched, and the pieces of the MJOLNIR system were assembled around his body. It was like a giant three-dimensional puzzle. Please breathe normally, Dr. Halsey told him, but otherwise remain absolutely still. John held himself as motionless as he could. The armor shifted and melded to the contours of his form. It was like a second skin, and much lighter than he had thought it would be. It heated, then cooled, then matched the temperature of his body. If he closed his eyes, he wouldn't have known he was encased. They set the helmet over his head. Health monitors, motion sensors, suit status indicators pulsed into life. A targeting reticle flickered on the heads-up display. Everyone move back, Dr. Halsey ordered. The Spartans, from their expressions, they were concerned for him, but still intensely curious, cleared a ring with a radius of 3 meters around him. Listen carefully to me, John, Dr. Halsey said. I just want you to think, and only think, about moving your arm up to chest level. Stay relaxed. He willed his arm to move, and his hand and forearm sprang forward to chest level. The slightest motion translated his thought to motion at lightning speed. It had been so fast, if he hadn't been attached to his arm, he might have missed that it had happened at all. The Spartans gasped. Sam applauded. Even lightning-fast Kelly seemed impressed. Dr. Halsey slowly coached John through the basics of walking and gradually built up the speed and complexity of his motions. After 15 minutes, he could walk, run, and jump almost without thinking of the difference between suit motion and normal motion. Petty Officer, run through the obstacle course, Dr. Halsey said. We will proceed to fit the other Spartans. We don't have a great deal of time left. John snapped a salute without thinking. His hand bounced off his helmet and a dull ache throbbed in his hand. His wrists would be bruised. If his bones hadn't been reinforced, he knew they would have been pulverized. Carefully, Petty Officer. Very carefully, please. Yes, ma'am. John focused his mind on motion. He leaped over a 3-meter-high wall. He punched at concrete targets, shattering them. He threw knives, sinking them up to their shafts into target dummies. He slid under barbed wire as bullets zinged over his head. He stood and let the rounds deflect off the armor. To his amazement, he actually dodged 1 or 2 of the rounds. Soon the other Spartans joined him on the course. Everyone ran awkwardly through the obstacles, as though they had no coordination. John expressed his worries to Dr. Halsey. It will come to you soon enough. You've already received some subliminal training during your last cryo sleep, Dr. Halsey told them. Now all you need is time to get used to the suits. More worrisome to John was the realization that they'd have to learn how to work together all over again. Their usual hand signals were too exaggerated now. A slight wave or tremble is translated into full-force punches or uncontrolled vibrations. They would have to use the comm channels for the time being. As soon as he thought of this, his suit tagged and monitored the other MJOLNIR suits. Their standard-issue UNSC neural chip, implanted in every UNSC soldier at induction, identified friendly soldiers and displayed them on their helmet HUDs. But this was different. All he had to do was concentrate on them, and secure comm channel opened. It was extremely efficient. And much to his relief, after drilling for 30 minutes, the Spartans had recovered all of their original group coordination and more. On one level, John moved the suit, and in return, it moved him. On another level, however, communication with his squad was so easy and natural, he could move and direct them as if they were an extension of his body. Over the hangar speakers, the Spartans heard Dr. Halsey's voice. "Spartans, so far so good. If anyone is experiencing difficulties with the suit or its controls, please report in." "I think I'm in love," Sam replied. "Oh, sorry, ma'am. I didn't think that was an open channel." "Flawless amplification of speed and power," Kelly said. "It's like I've been training in the suit for years." "Do we get to keep them?" John asked. "You're the only ones who can use them, Petty Officer. Who else could we give them to?" "We." The technician handed her a headset. "One moment, please. Report, Captain." Captain Wallace's voice broke over the comm channels. "We have contact with the Covenant ship, ma'am. Extreme range. Their subspace engines must still be damaged. They are moving toward us via normal space." "Your repair status?" she asked. "Long-range communications inoperable. Slipstream generators offline. Max system destroyed. We have 2 fusion missiles and 20 Archer missile pods intact. Armor plating is at 20%. There was a long hiss of static. "If you need more time, I can try and draw them away." "No, Captain," she replied, and carefully scrutinized John and the other armored Spartans. "We're going to have to fight them, and this time we have to win." Thus ends Chapter 13. I'm going to take another water break. From my big water bottle. Well, I don't know, Soul. Part of me wants to say, real fast before I start Chapter 14, part of me wants to say, if we're going to be comparing, Doom Guy, I think Spartans would have a slight edge over a Space Marine in Warhammer. However, it would be really close. Because while the Spartans have augmentations, there are those Space Marines that, well, are willing to literally fight to the death. So, it's hard. See, the thing is, if you were gonna have the Doom Guy would, like, just keep taking the Space Marines. But Spartans and Space Marines are so on par for different reasons, it's really hard to give an edge to either one. So, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway. Chapter 14. John piloted the Pelican through the exit burn of their orbital path, then sent the ship toward the last known position of the Commonwealth. The frigate had moved 10 million kilometers in system from the rendezvous points. Dr. Halsey sat in the co-pilot's seat, fidgeting with her spacesuit. In the aft compartment were the Spartans, the 3 technicians from the Damascus facility, and a dozen spare MJOLNIR suits. Yes, Boss Hog, Nerd Wars. I gotta get, like, my glasses so I can go. Hold on. Actually, there you go. Missing, however, were the AIs John had seen when they had first arrived. All Dr. Halsey had time to do was remove their memory processor cubes. It was a tremendous waste to leave such expensive equipment behind. Dr. Halsey examined the ship's short-range detection gear, then said, "Captain Wallace may be trying to use Key Seti's magnetic field to deflect the Covenant's plasma weapon. Try and catch up, Petty Officer." It actually will hurt my eyes this close to the screen, Gravy, that's why I take them off. Yes, ma'am, John pushed the engines 100%. Covenant ship to port, she said, 3 million kilometers and closing on the Commonwealth. John bumped up the magnification on screen and spotted the ship. The alien vessel's hull was bent at a 30-degree angle from the impact of the Mac heavy round, but it still moved at almost twice the speed of the Commonwealth. Dr. John asked, does the MJOLNIR armor operate in vacuum? Of course, she replied. It was one of our first design considerations. The suit can recycle air for 90 minutes. It's shielded against radiation and EMP as well. He then spoke to Sam over his comlink. What kind of missiles is this bird carrying? Wait 1 moment, sir, Sam replied. His voice returned a moment later. We have 2 rocket pods with 16 HE high explosive Anvil 2s each. I want you to assemble a team and go EVA. Remove those warheads from the wing pods. I'm on it, Sam said. Dr. Halsey tried to push her glasses up higher on her nose. Instead, she bumped up against the faceplate of her suit's helmet. May I ask what you have in mind, squad leader? John left his comm channel open so the Spartans would hear his reply. Requesting permission to attack the Covenant ship, ma'am. Her blue eyes widened. Most certainly not, she said. If a warship like the Commonwealth couldn't destroy it, a Pelican is certainly no match for them. Not the Pelican, sir. Not the Pelican, no, John agreed. But I believe we Spartans are. If we get inside the enemy ship, we can destroy her. Dr. Halsey considered tapping her lower lip. How will you get on board? We go EVA and use thruster packs to intercept the Covenant ship as it passes en route to the Commonwealth. She shook her head. One slight error in your trajectory, and you could miss by kilometers, Dr. Halsey remarked. A pause. I don't miss, ma'am, John said. They have reflective shields. True, John replied, but the ship is damaged. They may have had to lower or reduce shielding in order to conserve power, and if we have to, we can use one of our own warheads to punch a small hole in the barrier. He paused and added, there's also a large hole in their hull. Their shield may not cover that space entirely. Dr. Halsey whispered, it's a tremendous risk. With respect, ma'am, it's a bigger risk to sit here and do nothing. After they finish with the Commonwealth, they'll come for us, and we'll have to fight them anyway. Better to strike first. She stared off into space, lost in thought. Finally, she sighed in resignation. Very well, go. She transferred the pilot controls to her station, and blow the hell out of them. John climbed into the aft compartment. His Spartan stood at attention. He felt a rush of pride. They were ready to follow him as he leaped literally into the jaws of death. I've got the warhead, Sam said. It was hard to mistake Sam even with his reflective blast shielding covering his face. He was the largest Spartan, even more imposing encased in the armor. Everyone's got one, Sam continued as he handed John a metal shell. Timers and detonators are already rigged, stuck on a patch of adhesive polymer. They'll cling to your suit. Spartans, John said, grab thruster packs and make ready to go EVA. Everyone else? He motioned to the 3 technicians. Get into the forward cabin. If we fail, they'll be coming after the Pelican. Protect Dr. Halsey. They moved aft. Kelly handed him a thruster pack and he slipped it on. Covenant ship approaching, Dr. Halsey called out. I'm pumping out your atmosphere to avoid explosive decompression when I drop the back hatch. Sorry. We'll only have to get one shot at this, John said to the other Spartans. Plot an intercept trajectory and fire your thrusters at max burn. If the target changes course, you'll have to make a best guess correction on the fly. If you make it, we'll regroup outside the hole in their ship. If you miss, we'll pick you up after we're done. He hesitated and added, and if we don't succeed, then power down your systems and wait for UNSC reinforcements to retrieve you. Live to fight another day. Don't waste your lives. There was a moment of silence. If anyone has a better plan, speak up now. Sam patted John on the back. This is a great plan. It'll be easier than Chief Mendes' playground. A bunch of little kids could pull it off. Sure, John said. Everyone ready? Sir, they replied. We're ready, sir. John flipped the safety off and then punched in the code to open the Pelican's tail. The mechanism opened soundlessly in the vacuum. Outside was infinite blackness. He had a feeling of falling through space, but the vertigo quickly passed. He positioned himself on the edge of the ramp. Both hands gripped a safety handle overhead. The Covenant ship was a tiny dot in the center of his helmet's view screen. He plotted a course and fired the thruster pack on maximum burn. Acceleration slammed him into the thruster harness. He knew the others would launch right after him, but he couldn't turn to see them. It occurred to him that the Covenant ship might identify the Spartans as incoming missiles. and their point defense lasers were too damn accurate. John clicked on the comm channel. Doctor, we could use a few decoys if Captain Wallace can spare them. Understood, she said. The Covenant vessel grew rapidly in its display. A burst from its engines and it turned slightly. Traveling at 100 million kilometers an hour, even a minor course correction meant that he could miss by tens of thousands of kilometers. John carefully corrected his vector. The pulse laser on the side of the Covenant ship glowed, built up energy until it was dazzling neon blue, then discharged, but not at him. John saw explosions in his peripheral vision. The Commonwealth had fired a salvo of Archer missiles. Around him in the dark were puff balls of red-orange detonations, utterly silent. John's velocity now almost matched that of the ship. He eased toward the hull, 20 meters, 10, 5, and then the Covenant ship started to pull away from him. It was traveling too fast. He tapped his altitude thrusters and pointed himself perpendicular to the hull. The Covenant hull accelerated under him, but he was dropping closer. He stretched out his arms. The hull raced past his fingertips a meter away. John's fingers brushed against something. It felt semi-liquid. He could see his hand skimming a near-invisible, glassy, shimmering surface. The energy shield. Damn. Their shields were still up. He glanced to either side. The huge hole in their hull was nowhere in sight. He slid over the hull, unable to grab hold of it. No, he refused to accept that he had made it this far, only to fail now. A pulse laser flashed 100 meters away. His faceplate barely adjusted in time. The flash nearly blinded him. John blinked and then saw a silvery film rush back around the bulbous base of the laser turret. The shield dropped to let the laser fire. The laser started to build up a charge again. He would have to act quickly. His timing had to be perfect. If he hit the turret before it fired, he'd bounce off. If he hit the turret as it fired, there wouldn't be much left of him. The turret glowed, intensely bright. John set his thruster harness on maximum burn toward the laser, noting the rapidly dwindling fuel charge. He closed his eyes, saw the blinding flash through his lids, felt the heat on his face, then opened his eyes, just in time to crash and bounce into the hull. The hull plates were smooth, but had grooves and odd organic crenulations. Perfect finger holds. The difference between his momentum and the ship's nearly pulled his arms out of their sockets. He gritted his teeth and tightened his grip. He had made it. John pulled himself along the hull toward the hole the Commonwealth's Mac round had punched in the ship. Only 2 other Spartans waited for him there. What took you so long? Sam's voice crackled over the comm channel. The other Spartan lifted her helmet's reflective blast shield. He saw Kelly's face. I think we're it, Kelly said. I'm not getting any other responses over the comm channels. That meant either the Covenant ship shielded their transmissions, or there were no Spartans left to communicate with. John pushed that last thought aside. The hole was 10 meters across. Jagged metal teeth pointed inward. John looked over the edge and saw that the Mac heavy round had indeed passed all the way through. He saw tiers of exposed decks, severed conduits, and sheared metal beams. And through the other side, black space and stars. They climbed down. John immediately fell down on the first deck. They continued inward, scaling the metal walls until they were approximately in the middle of the ship. John paused and saw the stars wheel outside either end of the hole. The Covenant ship must be turning. They were engaging the Commonwealth. We better hurry. He stepped onto an exposed deck, and the gravity settled his stomach, giving him an up and down orientation. Weapons check, John told them. They examined their assault rifles. The guns had made the journey intact. John slipped in a clip of armor-piercing rounds, noting with pleasure that the suit immediately aligned the sight profile of the gun with his targeting system. He slung the weapon and checked the HE warhead attached to his hip. Timer and detonator looked undamaged. John faced a sealed set of sliding pressure doors. It was smooth and soft to his touch. It could have been made of metal or plastic, or it could have been alive, for all he knew. He and Sam grabbed either side and pulled, strained, and then the mechanism gave and the doors released. There was a hiss of atmosphere, a dark hallway beyond. They entered in formation, covering each other's blind spots. The ceiling was 3 meters high. It made John feel small. Do you think they need all the space because they're so large? Kelly asked. We'll know soon, he told her. They crouched, weapons at the ready, and moved slowly down the corridor. John and Kelly in front. They rounded a corner and stopped at another set of pressure doors. John grabbed the seam. Hang on, Kelly said. She knelt next to a pad with 9 buttons. Each button was inscribed with a runic alien script. These characters are strange, but one of them has to open this. She touched one and it lit. Then she keyed another. Gas hissed into the corridor. At least the pressure is equalized, she said. John double-checked his sensors. Nothing, though the alien metal inside the ship could be blocking the scans. Try another, Sam said. She did, and the door slid apart. The room was inhabited. An alien creature stood 1.5 meters tall, a biped. Its knobby, scaled skin was a sickly mottled yellow. Purple and yellow fins ran along the crest of its skull and its forearms. Glittering bulbous eyes protruded from skull-like hollows in the alien's elongated head. The Master Chief had read the UNSC's first contact scenarios. They called for cautious attempts at communication. He couldn't imagine communicating with something like this thing. It reminded him of the carrion birds on Reach, vicious and unclean. The creature stood there, frozen for a moment, staring at the human interlopers. Then it screeched and reached for something on its belt, its movement darting and bird-like. The Spartans shouldered their weapons and fired a trio of bursts with pinpoint accuracy. Armor-piercing rounds tore into the creature, shredding its chest and head. It crumpled into a heap without a sound, dead before it hit the deck. Thick blood oozed from the corpse. That was easy, Sam remarked. He nudged the creature with his boot. They sure aren't as tough as their ships. Let's hope it stays that way, John replied. I'm getting a radiation reading this way, Kelly said. She gestured deeper into the vessel. They continued down the corridor and took a side branch. Kelly dropped a nav marker, and its double blue triangle pulsed once on their heads-up displays. They stopped at another set of pressured doors. Sam and John took up flanking positions to cover her. Kelly punched the same button she had punched before, and the door slid apart. Another of the creatures was there. It stood in a circular room with crystalline control panels and a large window. This time, however, the vulture-headed creature didn't scream or look particularly surprised. This one looked angry. The creature held a claw-like device in its hand, leveled at John. John and Kelly fired. Bullets filled the air and pinged off a silver-shimmering barrier in front of the creature. A bolt of blue heat blasted from the claw. The blast was similar to the plasma that had hit the Commonwealth, and boiled a third of it away. The bolt sizzled over their heads. Sam dove forward and knocked John out of the blast path. The energy burst caught Sam in the side. The reflective coating of his MJOLNIR armor flared. He fell clutching his side, but still managed to fire his weapon. John and Kelly rolled on their backs and sprayed gunfire at the creature. Bullets peppered the alien. Each one bounced and ricocheted off the energy shield. John glanced at his ammo counter. Half gone. Keep firing, he ordered. The alien kept up a stream of answering fire. Energy blasts hammered into Sam, who fell to the deck, his weapon empty. John charged forward and slammed his foot into the alien's shield and knocked it out of line. He jammed the barrel of his rifle into the alien's screeching mouth and squeezed the trigger. The armor-piercing rounds punctured the alien and splattered the back wall with blood and bits of bone. John rose and helped Sam up. I'm okay, Sam said, holding his side and grimacing. Just a little singed. The reflective coating on his armor was blackened. You sure? Sam waved him away. John paused over the remaining bits of the alien. He spotted a glint of metal and arm guard, and he picked it up. He tapped one of the 3 buttons on the device, but nothing happened. He strapped it onto his forearm. Dr. Halsey might find it useful. They entered the room. The large window was a half-meter thick. It overlooked a large chamber that descended 3 decks. A cylinder ran the length of the chamber, and the red light pulsed along its length, like a liquid sloshing back and forth. Under the window, on their side, rested a smooth angled surface, perhaps a control panel. On the surface were tiny symbols, glowing green dots, bars, and squares. That's got to be the source of the radiation, Kelly said, and pointed to the chamber beyond. The reactor, or maybe a weapon system. Another alien marched near the cylinder. It spotted John. A silver shimmer appeared around it. It screeched and wobbled in alarm, then scrambled for cover. Trouble, John said. I've got an idea. Sam leaned forward. Hand me those warheads. John did as he asked. So did Kelly. We shoot out that window, set the timers on the warheads, and toss them down there. That should start the party. Let's do it before they call in reinforcements, John said. They turned and fired at the crystal. It crackled, splintered, and shattered. Toss those warheads, Sam said, and let's get out of here. John set the timers. 3 minutes, he said. That'll give us enough time to get topside and get away. He turned to Sam. You'll have to stay and hold them off. That's an order. What are you talking about? Kelly said. Sam knows. Sam nodded. I think I can hold them off that long. He looked at John and then Kelly. He turned and slowly and showed them the burn in the side of his suit. There was a hole the size of his fist, and beneath that the skin was blackened and cracked. He smiled, but his teeth were gritted in pain. That's nothing, Kelly said. We'll get you patched up in no time, once we get back. Her mouth slowly dropped open. Exactly, Sam whispered. Getting back is going to be a problem for me. The hole, John reached out to touch it. We don't have any way to seal it. Kelly shook her head. If I step off this boat, I'm dead from the decompression, Sam said, and shrugged. No, Kelly growled. No, everyone gets out alive. We don't leave teammates behind. He has his orders, John told Kelly. You've got to leave me, Sam said softly to Kelly. And don't tell me you'll give me your suit. It took those techs on Damascus 15 minutes to fit us. I wouldn't even know where to start to unzip this thing. John looked to the deck. The chief had told him he'd have to send men to their deaths. He didn't tell him it would feel like this. Don't waste time talking, Sam said. Our new friends aren't going to wait for us while we're figuring this out. He started the timers. There, it's decided. A 3-minute countdown appeared in the corner of their heads-up displays. Now, get going, you two. John clasped Sam's hand and squeezed it. Kelly hesitated and then saluted. John turned and grabbed her arm. Come on, Spartan, don't look back. The truth was, it was John who didn't dare look back. If he had, he would have stayed with Sam. Better to die with a friend than leave him behind. But as much as he wanted to fight and die alongside his friend, he had to set an example for the rest of the Spartans, and live to fight another day. John and Kelly pushed the pressure doors shut behind them. Goodbye, he whispered. The countdown timer ticked the seconds off inexorably. 2 minutes 35 seconds. They ran down the corridor, popped the seal on the outer door, the atmosphere vented. 1 minute and 5 seconds. They climbed up through the twisted metal canyon that the Mac round had torn through the hall. 33 seconds. There, John said, and pointed to the base of the charged pulse laser. They crawled toward it, waited as the globe built up to a lethal charge. 12 seconds. They crouched and held on to one another. The laser fired. The heat blistered John's back. They pushed off with all their strength, multiplied through the MJOLNIR armor. 0 seconds. The shield parted, and they cleared the ship, hurtling into the blackness. The Covenant ship shuddered. Flashes of red appeared inside the hole, and a gout of fire rose and ballooned and curled downward as it hit and rebounded off their own shield. The plasma spread along the length of their vessel. The shield shimmered and rippled of silver, holding the destructive force inside. Metal glowed and melted. The pulse laser turrets absorbed into the hull. The hull blistered, bubbled, and boiled. The shield finally gave. The ship exploded. Kelly clung to John. 1,000 molten fragments hurled past them, cooling from white to orange to red and then disappearing into the dark of the night. Sam's death had shown them that the Covenant were not invincible. They could be beaten, at a high cost, however. John finally understood what the chief had meant, the difference between a life wasted and a life spent. John also knew that humanity had a fighting chance, and he was ready to go to war. And that ends chapter 14. So, what we could have gotten in the Halo show. Alas. Gravy, I will remove your mod status just so you can get timed out. Anyway, but thank you all for hanging out with me. Next week, I am behind schedule, but next week will be chapters 15 through 17 on Tuesday. So chapters 15 through 17 on Tuesday. And I'll share this. Since I don't quite have my voice back, I'm going to be playing a couple, maybe 2 demos. We'll see how long the demos are, basically, but maybe a couple demos tomorrow of some games that look interesting. Still early. I've been reading for almost an hour, Boss Hog. So my voice can't take much more. No, I'm not going to stream Marvel Riot. Why do you put that evil on me, Mr. Grimm? Seriously. Anyway. Okay, here's my Steam. Thank you later. Ha. Anyway. Alright, so here's the first one I'll be checking out. It's called Rainbow Gate. It looks weird. So basically you gotta... Here, I'll go to the store page so you can see. So basically you got a survival horror game set in an abandoned amusement park that was once full of joy but has now become a deadly trap. You're trapped in a twisted game, forced to find a way to escape from the lurking shadows and relentless animatronics before it's too late. It looks like a more effed up, slightly more effed up version than FNAF, but probably better. I'm gonna try Rainbow Gates. So this looks interesting, to say the least. Alright. And the next one I might try, because I was reading an article about it and it looked interesting, is this. Baptiste. This one, devastated by a family tragedy, Sarah and her son Tom seek a new start at Jagged Shore Cliff. However, their worst fear is waiting for them there. So it's like another kind of survival horror game, but more, kind of looks slightly more story-based. So we'll see. And the images looked freaky. So yeah, the creepy doll is part of it, which makes it extra creepy. Yeah, it does look like a puppet from Goosebumps. That's kind of what it reminded me of. So, depending on how long the Rainbow Gate demo is, I'll be most likely playing Baptiste as well on stream. So it'll be kind of a chill stream, checking out those demos, seeing what they're like. And then Saturday, my plan is to watch the Royal Rumble live. So, Trey, go ahead and plug Pin Down Podcast, because I know you guys are going to be live. Well, you guys can be live watching that. You won't be showing it, but you'll be live watching it. So if you want, like, you hear some commentary while you're watching the Royal Rumble, if you watch the Royal Rumble, go check out the Pin Down Podcast channel. It's run by Creamnado, Trey Courtney, and Mr. T, who generally go live a few times a week for, like, each of the wrestling events like Raw, SmackDown, so forth. Well, I'm watching it out of morbid curiosity at this point, Golden Fox. As long as Jey Uso doesn't win again, I'll be happy. I'll be fine. And this is a Pin Down Podcast, so if you at least modestly like enjoy wrestling and commentary that is not biased or chilling in any way, check out Pin Down Podcast. This channel right here, like I said, is run by Creamnado, Trey here in the chat, and Mr. T. They give their perspectives, and they'll be giving live commentary for the Rumble this Saturday. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern. Liv is back, Boss Hog. Liv is back, and she's in the Rumble, Boss Hog. So come watch it with us. I'm sure you'll love it. Yeah. So. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna just stop sharing the screen. But those are the two games I'll be playing tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to start. I'm hoping to start on the early side so I can go for longer than I would normally go, since I did not stream last night because my voice, you can see my voice is still not quite back. I sound like I have smoker's cough, even though I've never smoked a day in my life. Thank you. I'm going to break the kneecaps of the coworker who got my mom sick. So yeah, so if you see an arrest, like a news broadcast of an arrest happening because of 5'2" woman attacking this guy with a crowbar, that's me. So yeah, that'll be me. Anyway, so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, have a good rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all tomorrow evening. I don't know exactly when, but tomorrow evening on my YouTube, Kick, and Twitch for a relatively chill gaming stream, checking out a couple of survival horror demos. So take care, everyone. Stay safe. Good night, and peace.